Well, joining us here in the studio is Sami, al-Arian, a Professor of Public Affairs and the Director of Center for Islam and Global Affairs at Istanbul Zaim University. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Just hearing there from Trump saying that we need to see an end to the war, but his speech at the UN was very clearly directed towards specifically the release of the hostages, about Israel. Not really a mention of the genocide that's going on. And also, another thing he added, and I wanted to quote this, was that he said, I'm on the side of Israel, I've been on the side of Israel really my whole life, and we're going to get a solution. How is that even going to be possible there?
The problem with Trump is that he speaks on both sides, from both sides of his mouth, and sometimes he doesn't know what he's really talking about. So when he says that he wants a solution, while the whole world is recognized the state of Palestine, he's been taking the other direction. He didn't even allow the Palestinians to be there to make their case while he's talking about free speech in the same room that he prevented the Palestinians from coming.
Ironically, when he said about support for Israel, he was sitting directly next to the French president, Emmanuel Macron, who has recognized the Palestinian
That's correct.
state.
I think the address yesterday by Trump was more addressed domestically and for Israelis rather than the whole world. He kept talking about his accomplishments. He kept about criticizing the previous administration. He didn't know what he's talking about. This is the whole world. This is not a campaign event in which he's trying to boost his popularity. At any rate, what Trump said yesterday was very consistent with his previous positions. Trump never really said that he's going to stop the war and mean it. He said a lot in the past, but the United States' actions are different from his rhetoric. It is supporting and giving full support to the Israelis to continue this genocide. He's been backing them. He just asked the Senate to give them $6.4 billion of more arms to kill Palestinians and basically be the bully and the hegemon in the region. So whatever he's saying is different from what he's
and
doing.
The UN's response to Trump's speech when they had a meeting was, our correspondent there, James Bays, a diplomatic editor, spoke to the spokesperson for the UN and wasn't willing to criticize the US in all of this, despite the fact that the US has a veto power and despite the fact that the only real influence over Israel is the US, and the US could make sure that this war ends tomorrow if it wanted.
That's the vicious cycle that the world has been in for the past couple of years, is that the United States has the ability to stop Israel, and no one is willing to stand up and really confront Trump and tell them they need to do something, because you need to have some leverage and use it. But no one is willing to use that leverage. The United States thinks that it can do what it wants, and basically it's getting away with it with the same as Israel. Israel doesn't care about the world, doesn't care about the United Nations or the European Union or anyone else. The only thing it cares about is the one sitting in the White House, and the one sitting in the White House also seems doesn't care about anything, and he's trying to use all the leverage he has to get his way.
And Dr. Arian, when you listen to Trump's speech yesterday, one of the points that he keeps bringing up, as do the Israelis, as have those that are insisting the end of the war, is that it's up to Hamas to release the hostages. Something Israel has been saying, you watch Israeli media, release the hostages, this will all be over, putting the onus on Hamas. There is a factor here that many have forgotten, though, that one of the conditions that Hamas had put right from the beginning was we release a hostage in exchange for Palestinian prisoners, especially in occupied West Bank. Thousands of them rounded up since the Gaza war, and thousands of them already there under arbitrary arrest, children without any legal representation. That seems to have been forgotten in this whole discussion here.
Don't know exactly what they're saying. The position of Hamas and the resistance never changed. It's the same. Will release the captives in exchange for the thousands of Palestinian prisoners. But more importantly, that war has to stop, and Israel has to withdraw, and aid has to come to the Palestinians. Several times, Hamas makes the tactical concessions to whatever they have been addressing, to whatever they have been asking. It did that about 6-8 weeks ago, and Israel never responded. Actually, its response was to try to assassinate the negotiators. And even with that, it was Trump's proposal that they were negotiating, in which he says, this is my proposal, please answer me by tomorrow. They come here to negotiate this, to discuss this, and what happens? They try to kill them. So Israel has never wavered from its position that it wants actually to kill the captives, it seems, because they don't want to negotiate. It was always an Israeli proposal, an American proposal. They come with a response of yes, And once Hamas or the resistance says yes, the response for them actually is to withdraw from negotiations or actually not respond.
And hence why the families of the captives themselves are accusing of Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, and his government of continuing with this Gaza assault that could potentially kill the hostages.
Correct.
Thank you very much, Sami al-Arian, for joining us.
Thank you.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news, expert insight. Like, share, stay ahead.